Xiaomi, they're not like closing up shop anytime soon. In fact, they're interested in putting out a 108 megapixel camera on a phone. 108 megapixel. Kirk, you never even took a photo of 108 megapixels. You're lucky to get 5 megapixels out there in the world. 10 sometimes. 108 megapixels in a smartphone. That's nearing medium format scale. Holy moly, what are we doing on smartphones? What's even happening anymore? Billboard. I'm going to go shoot some billboards on my smartphone. You know, my social media posts are going to be billboard caliber megapixel count because I just don't know what might end up happening with it. Maybe Twitter's going to take my tweet and choose to put it in a subway somewhere. So I got to be ready. All my photos have to have the potential to be displayed that way. I got to shoot them at 108 megapixels. To break that down for you, that is 12,032 by 9,024 resolution. You can't even properly view that thing on your screen. I don't even know where you view it in full res. You don't. You got to zoom in to really appreciate what's going on with that thing. Apparently, it's going to be used in an upcoming Redmi phone. They're going to put a 64 megapixel sensor in an upcoming Redmi phone, but then a future phone is going to pack a 108 megapixel ultra clear Samsung ISO camera sensor with that unbelievable resolution. Now, they're not giving away too many details at the moment, but it's like, you know, these companies are working so hard to differentiate from one another. It's like some of these specifications are getting astronomical. We just recently looked at the new Galaxy Note 10 Plus, 12 gigs of RAM. I mean, that's like a thing that's pretty common now on smartphones. You're sitting there. I saw so many comments rolling. People like, yeah, when the phone in the video has more RAM than my PC. And like normally those jokes I don't go for them, but that's just too real. It's like, yeah, it's right. A lot of PCs don't have 12 gigs of RAM. That's right. And a lot of cameras never made it to 108 megapixels. But what we're seeing now is that the smartphone is actually the delivery method for all technology. It seems to not matter now.
Yeah.
All camera technology has moved its attention to the smartphone, computational photography, all that crazy HDR stuff. Anybody that's working on the fringes of tech is in some way, whether it's on the software or hardware side, having to figure out how their tech integrates with the smartphone, because the smartphone appears to be the only gadget you're going to have. A consolidation of all your other gadgets into a single one. And that's what this, to me, represents. This is kind of that statement that, like, typical traditional cameras, it's over if this thing happens. Now, granted, I mean, what would the cost of something like this be? How much light would you need? How big would the lens have to be to truly take advantage of this? How much light do you need for each one of these pixels? Because those pixels are going to have to be small, because how big of a sensor fits into the back of a smartphone? You see where this goes? So now you need more light, bigger aperture, more glass. How big is this phone?
Yeah.
Things get weird.
It's a lot of trade-offs.
There's so much engineering that has to go. Maybe it's just they just use it simply for like a daytime crazy zoom functionality, like sensor zoom. I don't know. I can't tell you for certain, but Xiaomi has shown it off. They seem committed to the idea. They're going to start with a 64 megapixel sensor in an upcoming Redmi device, and then after that, all the way to outer space at 108 megapixels. It's unbelievable.